Running for Services Vice President. Please come on stage. Can't do a coin flip. Numbers. All right, so by random selection, Evan will lead us off. This question is for all of you. The way this will go is, well, actually, I'm going to give them each 30 seconds to start off, so we'll do that, and then Evan will get the first question first. So I promise you all 30-second intros. So the way this will go is the beautiful Carolyn will be down here, and she will give you the point when you have 10 seconds left. And then when she will raise her hand, that means you have to stop, even if it's mid-sentence. So with that, watch her, but Evan, you have 30 seconds.
Hi, my name is Evan Shepard. As Brendan said, I'm running for Services Vice President. I have very large ambitions for the job, beyond my big three, which are to expand the campus meal plan, make more youth sustainability efforts at the university, and to make campus more commuter student friendly. I have the experience in SGA services. I was chair of the Parking and Safety Committee for a year while I served in the Senate, and I've been on staff for 2 years. But beyond that, I have specific plans of action for everything I want to do. And I think that's what separates me from my other competitors up here. We're all great leaders, but I have very specific plans of action and experience.
Thank you. Maureen?
Hi, my name is Morgan Jenny. I'm a junior history major, and I'm working on my minor in women and gender studies. And why I'm running for SVP is I feel that SVP really contributes to the community here on campus, and I think that it's a job that I really feel like I could do a lot with, and that I could help with the community. I also have specific plans that I feel like I could implement. My number one is safety. I feel like if you've checked your email in the last hour and a half, you would have seen that there was an email about someone getting attacked over at the province. So that would be my first thing, along with also expanding the meal plan. That's a common thing that we constantly are working at, and improving parking, moving it along as quickly as possible so that students aren't searching for 30 minutes to find a place to park.
Thanks, Morgan. Connor?
Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Connor Lowe. I'm a junior middle secondary education major with a concentration in Spanish. I worked 4 semesters at the Billborough for Sodexo, which has given me professional relationships with the managerial staff there. I've also worked in housing and residence life for the past 2 years as a resident assistant in Freckle Hall, as well as a desk assistant in various residence halls throughout campus, which is also obligatory for me to work with the University of Louisville Police Department as well as the parking services here. Once again, thank you for coming tonight.
Okay, thank you all. So with that, we're going to begin our first question. And this question is for all of you. So Evan, you'll start off, and then we'll work towards me. You will each get a minute to answer this question, and then after that, if I think that you won't need a rebuttal. If you ask for a rebuttal, we may do, each of you will have a 30-second rebuttal. So with that, Evan will be first. Carol was good on the 1-minute questions, is going to give you the 20-second warning. Can you just keep pointing at them the entire time? I mean, this is cute, but like, just keep, the constant point. Thank you. You're getting paid well for this. So with that, the first question is, the graduate population at the University of Louisville is about 1/4 of the total student enrollment. What do you see as the #1 issue for graduate and professional students pertaining to services, and how do you plan to work on alleviating this issue? Evan?
I think that the #1 issue pertaining to graduate students, and particularly services, is the timing of when these services are open. I know a lot of graduate students expressed that they wanted the rec center to be open longer than it currently is, which has taken place, which is something SGA has made sure is going to happen in the new rec center. And as far as the health sciences campus, more services down there. Something that graduate students I know used to use a lot was Humana Gym. right now that's not going to be open for student use, it's going to be open for faculty use. And that's something that I would like to look into. I know myself personally, there's a lot of times where I would go to Humana Gym just to have less people there, because the site did tend to get kind of busy. Beyond that, like I said, timing, not just for things like the rec center, but as well as academic services. A lot of the campus tutoring and things like that are closed. We have to remember a lot of these grad students, I think you two included, Brandon, work full-time jobs. So we have to find ways as university students to cater to them. They're just as important as every other student.
Thank you, Evan. Morgan?
I think among a number of problems that we need to fix with graduate students and the campuses that involve them, the most prominent one, most immediate one would be safety. There are not enough coverings in the shuttles by the HSC campuses. The crosswalks are not marked appropriately. The current SVP is working with the President of Graduate Student Council on that right now, and I think progressing that as quickly as possible to make that campus as safe as it needs to be here. I think safety overall needs to be improved on all of our campuses, but it's definitely a major problem at the HSC and other graduate campuses.
I completely agree with Evan and Morgan. I believe that the availability of our services as well as the safety of our services are very important, especially to the graduate students, the populace. Humana Gym is a really great example that Evan brought up. I think that because it is less crowded for students who are working full-time jobs and do have that limited time in their schedule to go, I think that would be a great idea to open that back up. I really do agree with that, as well as the safety. I think that we really need to create closer communication with TARC and our shuttling services so they are more available to all of our students here, especially the grad students who utilize them probably more often. So yes, that's about it.
Okay. All right. Now I have a question that is specifically for each one of you, and it's going to go in the opposite order we just went. Connor, you were first. Many of your initiatives focus on expanding services such as University of Police and food services. Due to the current university budget circumstances, where do you find the alternative funds coming to support such ideas? For you, go for it.
Yes, part of my platform is that I really feel that we need to extend the services that we have on campus rather than expanding out. I think it would be more beneficial and efficient for our time and money if we just focus on what we have already. I think that if we are able to extend the hours of our services in dining, as well as the hours of our library and extended hours for the different services that we have on campus, it would be a lot better and more beneficial for the residents living on campus as well as those living off campus. I know that a lot of students who live off campus spend a lot of their time in the library, and with the limited hours there, it is not beneficial for them to only be able to use it for a couple hours after their classes, and that if we have extended hours for the entire library as well as for our dining services that are a little more healthy than Papa John's only. So I think that would be a really good way to expand our services to the students of campus, because we will know that they are being benefited directly by what we are doing.
Okay. Morgan, this question is for you. You recently posted online that food and safety issues have been talked about for years, and it's time students see more of the change they are looking for. This past year, students had the opportunity to voice their opinions specifically on food-related issues. The current SVP, Serena Worth, held by inviting senators to participate in focus groups. Yet only a handful of students and senators who signed up actually attended the discussion. So how do you plan to start the conversation with students as well as fund such initiatives in order for students to see the change you seem to suggest?
I can understand that frustration. I was one of the few people that went to those meetings, and there were not many people, and we've heard a lot of the same things over and over again, and I don't think that we're one of the few people that can pull Excalibur from the stone. So the more ideas that we have, I think, are better. So how I would go about doing that is being as creative and as persistent as possible. And I think that if we reached as many people and kept asking them and kept trying to get them involved and get as many incentives as we could that were cost efficient, people are going to get involved, and people want their voice to be heard. They're just not as well informed. SGA is still working to figure out how to be a common name within students, and that's the same thing with SVP and the services that go along with that. So I think using social media and using delivering services on campus, going to RSOs, using the president's roundtables, and getting everyone involved under that umbrella would really get people to have their voice heard and to get these issues out so we can make some good changes.
Okay. The next question is for Evan. Evan, in your platform, you discussed the need to further support our commuter students. I recently spent a few hours in the commuter lounge and can attest to the space has been completely forgotten about and is under-resourced. As SVP, how would you increase the number of spaces for students like this on campus, as well as finance to help the quality of these spaces as well?
So if you guys don't know, SGA was just given $2.5 million to renovate the fourth floor of the library. That's one of those spaces, the money is there. Also in the SAC, the space that's going to be vacated by the current rec center, whenever the rec center moves and opens, that space is there, as well as the money to renovate that was included in the price of the rec center. That money is there. A third space in which I've noticed most students don't use, as soon as you walk into the library, right to the right, there's that quiet study area. I would be interested to just put a camera there and see how many students actually utilize that space. That would be an amazing space in the center of campus to allow commuter students, to give them that opportunity to relax. As well as on Speed School side of campus. I was in Duthy Hall, I think that's correct. I was in Duthy Hall earlier this morning, and there's a lot of space there that can be used. And this is kind of going off the question, but there's more than enough space to add another food option in Duthy. I was there earlier with a few Speed School students, and there are more.
Thank you. Okay, those are the end of my questions. So now I'm feeding through all these questions that people are sending in. Good questions, guys. The one question, though, that's kind of repeated itself is people want to know, what have you done so far at U of L that has prepared you for this position? So give you all 30 seconds each. Evan, you can start and then we'll work our way across. Kara, I'll let you know when you have 10 seconds left.
I think the first thing that has prepared me most, I spent 2 summers as an SLSer, and why I say that it's prepared me is because I talked to students. That was my job, was to talk to students, to get the students who necessarily didn't want to talk or didn't want to be involved in things and excited to come to campus. I've been doing that since I came to this university, and that is part of what you have to do as SGA. Secondly, during the year I spent as chair of the Parking and Safety Committee, I worked with Colonel Hall, who is over campus security and DPS, and we were trying to formulate a way to expand escort service. And so I have a very set plan to expand the escort service.
Just like Evan, I think that SOS is a great way to learn how to connect with students. I worked in Reach Ambassadors for a year, and then currently I'm Senior Director of Freshman Lead. Some of my freshman leaders are out there. Way to go, you get your requirement. But the good thing about that is that I've learned how to connect with students, especially first-year students, which is a crucial group of people that a lot of times get lost in the mess of things. And so I've learned how to speak to these students, and I know what their struggles are, and I know what they need, and I know that they want to get involved, they want their voice heard, and we should go to those students because those students are the most apt to listen to us, the most apt to give their voice, and they're very observant. This is all new to them. So everything that's going on, they're documenting it and they're thinking about it. So those are really the people that I really want to hear from here in my next year.
Like I said in my introduction, I have worked in all 4 aspects of the services here at U of L. I probably swiped all of your student IDs to get into the Bill Grill. I can probably guarantee that. As well as working housing and residence life. Through that, I have developed working relationships with all of the professional staff there, as well as the ULPD, University of Louisville Police Department, and the parking services to create open communication, like I said. Also, I think that just through my experience in networking and all of the service aspects of our university, I can really put my knowledge and networking to good use for the entire student body.
Okay. Sorry, the talk bin just went down, so now I'm having to think on my feet. Y'all killed it. 1 second. Let me think of a good question here. Adam, is it not working for you either?
Yeah.
It's working for you?
No, it's slow.
Okay. All right. Then I'm going to have to think of more questions. We have about 5 more minutes left in this. Some of the questions, though, before it went down, really wanted to hear, several people wanted to hear about specific funding things, okay? So, not that you can ask for money, but where is the money located? Is there money located within each department? So if you're working on a business school initiative, how can you work with the business school to use their money, but for student services and whatnot, and to be creative in how you look and find student dollars. So let's talk a little bit more about finances, because I think that that's a huge question. We can all talk about things, but unless we can finance them, it's not going to happen. So Connor, will you start with this question first? Thanks. Heck, let's give it a minute. It's a lot.
Okay. Well, I know that Housing and Residence Life, as well as Sodexo Dining Services, do have specific budgets they're allowed to spend on things. For example, Serena, the former SVP, was able to get larger Bill Grill cups, and that was a really great thing. I know we're all super excited about that, and you know that money came from somewhere. Yeah, seriously. I just know that if we can really voice opinions and get the things that matter, they can be done. So funding in Housing Residence Life, I know that there's a lot of money there. The recent evacuation of Miller probably put a little bit of damper on that, but it is there for things that the students need, because we are there for them, and that's why we are running through this position. So I realize that the funding is there. It is in the separate departments, and it's just how we spend it and how we utilize it efficiently.
So one really awesome thing about going to this campus is that we have the best athletic program in the nation. And years ago, we might not have been able to say that, but now that we can say that, the athletic fund that we use currently is kind of outdated and not as necessary. And right now, Justin Moran is working to decrease that. And so that's the money that we could reallocate to other services, like safety, like parking, like dining, to use all of those things. So taking these outdated, unnecessary fees and reallocating the things that are appropriate now in our world currently would be the first place that I would look to find this funding. So I don't think that it needs to be further pushed on to students to increase their tuition, but being creative and looking for the funding and looking for things that don't make sense right now and reallocating it to services that do make sense.
What I think needs to happen is that I think we need to find more creative ways to find funding. What we were trying to do to expand the campus escort service was partner with a local golf course to where they provided campus DPS with golf carts to set up an on-campus shuttle. That way the cars only have to go off campus. DPS will handle 2,500 requests a night. That's straight from their mouth. And so if we can partner with the golf course to maybe come up with some type of like student membership, students love to golf too, then we get those golf carts for free. We just save that money. To expand the bike program, and this is something that I had the chance to study in London, and this was something my college was really good at doing, was working with their businesses in their community. I'm sure if you don't know what Barclays bikes are in London, you should look them up, but PNC has market share similar to what Barclays has in London, and we all know they've been trying to make a bigger push on campus lately. We could easily use that, and that leverage us. You can expand your market share on campus and in the city. We could use that specifically to get more, to expand our bike share service, something like the Barclays bike, at least on campus.
All right, thanks, Evan. All right, that completes this 20 minutes, but I said you all would each get a 30-second kind of closing statement. So I'm going to honor that.
Okay, so some things that I didn't get to talk about that I really am excited about is that my number one thing would be safety. That would be the first thing that I would get done. And one of the things that I really think is important is expanding DPS. Evan just spoke about that. 2,500 a night is ridiculous, and so expanding that so that students don't have to choose between walking home, which is part of the reason that there's so many attacks on students. And at South Carolina universities like that, they've outsourced this to private taxi services. Under John Weber, the former SVP, he was working on an initiative to look to see where the funding, what that would be, and look at how much that would cost. That would be one of the first things I would look at, so that students on the weekends could have a number of taxi services that would take them 5-10 miles to and from campus, which would save a lot of money, save a lot of time, and that people could be safer.
I also consider safety a really large issue with our campus. Something that I've done to figure out ways we can really diminish the amount of texts we get from the rave alerts is I've looked up how other urban campuses deal with their safety issues. And one thing that I found very common with urban campuses is that they have visible police officers. And I think that that would really put students' minds at ease, as well as just make our campus feel safer. And that is something that I'm definitely looking into for safety.
I'd like to first take a second to thank all of you for coming out. Without your engagement, SGA is nothing. Without the student support, without the students behind us, then everything we do could be considered pointless. I think something that has shown through tonight is that beyond having great ideas, which we all do have great ideas, I have very specific plans of action, how I want to go about things, which I think is critical for a short tenure position such as 1 year, is that continuity and to be able to hit the ground running. So I encourage you to check out our stuff on Facebook and learn more about what I want to do and what I plan to do if elected SVP. Thank you.
Thanks, Evan. Thanks, Morgan. Thanks, Connor. Okay, we're going to now transition into